Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Catwoman, which is the Arkham City version. I really wish they would start putting all the information on the front, like Arkham City Catwoman. Anyway, that's just my personal thing. Okay, so this figure, it comes from a game which is highly regarded as possibly the best Batman game. I know some people prefer Arkham Asylum. I think this one added the open world experience, and that makes it a lot better. And some of the later ones had better gameplay but not better stories, so I'm going to go with Arkham City being the best Batman video game ever. This figure is not the best of anything ever, except for one thing, which we will mention for sure. But it's a travesty. So let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. This figure stands... Nope, we're doing a Darwin comparison first. There's Darwin. He is a little bit shorter than her. And so that sounds right, because these are 7-inch figures and Darwin is technically a 6-inch figure. She's about 7 inches to the top of the cat ear, so really about 6 3/4 to the top of the noggin, and that's going to make her just about 17 and a half centimeters. Alright, so let's talk about the aesthetic before we do a question of the day, because I want to just say how bad this is, and then I'll do a question of the day after. Okay, the aesthetic on this figure is absolutely appalling, ridiculous, offensive, and the company should be embarrassed. Like, Todd's a good artist, one of the best, and he knows what looks right. For sure. There's no way he saw this and said, okay, looks good. There's no way. He might have looked at it and said, well, it's too late, sunk costs, ship it, but this is ridiculous. It looks like two different figures put together. Those legs are okay. They're well enough proportioned by themselves. That top half has problems, but it's okay. When you put them together, it looks like two different figures glued together. Not only is this an entirely different finish and a slightly grayish black compared to this darker, slightly shinier black, it's out of scale completely. Like, the details aren't, so it's not like they screwed up. Someone sculpted it this way on purpose. It's ridiculous. Her proportions are insane, and they were exaggerated in the game, don't get me wrong. But this is nuts. It really does look like two separate figures. That's crazy. The high diaper definitely doesn't help. Why? Why? Stop doing that. Stop putting the diaper all the way up to the ribs. Stop that. That's weird. And it makes it look worse, but it looks terrible. The proportions are nuts on this figure. Now let's look at some of the details. Like the fine details, the texturing, that's all fine. It looks alright. You can see like that weird pattern throughout the outfit. That's good. All the beadwork, laces and things, that's all fine, no problem. The arms aren't shaped like anything. She has zero shoulder. This arm in particular, it pinches in at the bicep, gets bigger at the elbow again, and then pinches back down. It looks like she's got like sausages, uncooked sausages for arms, or socks with potatoes in them. It's nuts how bad this looks. I'm sorry to whoever sculpted it, but this isn't it. This is not it. The head sculpt is okay. Paintwork is okay, again. Skin tone is freaking weird. It's yellow and pale. It looks like a porcelain doll. But the sculpt work and paintwork on the head is okay. So I'll give them that. You know, all the details are technically okay. But the proportioning and overall sculpt work is weird on this figure. And we have to do a cake rating. And this is the one thing that this is the best I've ever seen. In terms of quantity, but not quality. Her cake rating is going to be a 15 out of 10. Because holy crap, it doesn't even match the sculpt. It's just like what happened? Oh my goodness. It looks absolutely absurd. What the heck? Oh my goodness. I didn't realize it was even that bad. Like, I was looking at it before the review, but not that close. But holy... man. What the heck? I mean, there are bodybuilding women that don't have butts that big. Fitness model, nobody has butt that big, honestly. That's ridiculous. This is absurd. The figure looks ridiculous as a result of all these different things, and there's going to be more to come. But so far, I'm going to give this an aesthetic rating of 2 out of 10. That is nuts. The head is okay. That's about it. And the detail work, that's okay too. Now, speaking of proportions, people have asked me, why don't you work for any of these companies? It's not up to me. That's the answer, honestly. Not that long ago, like a year and a half ago, McFarlane Toys was hiring an action figure sculptor and designer specializing in ZBrush and articulation. It's like they described me in the job description. I applied and I got no response, and after I emailed them a few more times, they said, yeah, we are not doing it anymore, or we're not interested, or something like that. So it's not up to me. For all of you who always say, well, just go work for these companies and make it better, I can't. They don't want me to. However, I am working on my own action figure line. I am putting together a new set of prototypes. I know it's clear and hard to see right now, but the resin I'm printing in just happens to be clear. But I am working on my own prototypes for my own action figure line, which is still being produced. It is called Rival Clans. That's the name of the line, and the company will be Rival Collectibles. That is the plan overall. I'll have a video for those once they're painted. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the accessories. This figure comes with the almighty black DC display stand, which I guess is okay because she has high heels, and we'll talk about... Oh, let's talk about that now. I forgot this in the aesthetic section. They added a chunk of plastic to the feet because she's wearing high heels so that they could put a peg hole in there. I don't like that. That looks goofy. I know most people won't care, but I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Put the peg hole somewhere else. That's what she said. I don't like that. Okay, so the other accessory is her whip, which is grossly out of scale. Look at it in her hand. It looks like she's holding... I don't know, a salami? It's huge. It's freaking huge. It looks like whoever made this exported the file without updating the size ratios. The handle for the whip is gigantic, but the whip part isn't, so it's not really what they did. They just sculpted it that way. What's happening in this line of figures? There's so many weird things. It's gigantic. Okay, and then lastly we have the card, which shows a game model, which looks infinitely better than the action figure, so, you know. 2 out of 10 for accessories. And the whip isn't bendy or anything, by the way, either. Alright, let's go ahead and talk about the articulation. Maybe that will save this release. What the hell? What are those lines on her neck? Those are sculpted. No, is that supposed to be straps for her mask? I don't know what those lines are, but she's got some big lines on her neck. I just noticed that. That is freaking weird. Articulation for the head is okay because it's a double ball peg, and that's always the best. That's all right. Shoulders, let's zoom out a little bit. Not even quite to horizontal. You do get your full rotation. Bicep swivel. It kind of works, but because the bicep goes all the way up over the shoulder, it doesn't work very well. Double jointed elbow, that has to work. No way it doesn't. Yeah, she can definitely bend her arm. However you want, really, so that's okay. Wrists have little ball hinges. They work well enough, it's okay. Diaphragm joint works really well. That's the way you want to do it. It is a double. It feels like a double anyway. That works really well. Lower diaphragm joint ball peg works really well. Why didn't they just make this, like, the articulation on this figure so far is solid enough? What's up with the sculpt? Don't do that. You ruined it. Hips go out to the side, not that far, because the cake is just fighting it. You can't beat that cake. I mean, it is stronger than all the other parts of the figure. So you're only going to get a little tiny bit better than 45. Going forward, almost to horizontal. You could probably force it and bend this one back a little bit. They do go back a little bit, so that's okay. Good enough range. The cake is continued throughout. You can see there's extra cake sculpted on the thigh part, so that is a very well-considered cake. Whoever was making this was an ass man, and he was like, I'll just do that part. And then the rest, you know, we'll connect the other things to it, but I'm going to spend all my time on the ass part. Goodness. Alright, thigh swivel, basically non-existent. Double jointed knee, not good looking, but it's there. It has decent enough range. Proportioning is pretty good, I would say. Could be a little better, but it's not bad. Ankle articulation, we do have the sculpted joints, which these are pretty decent examples as far as hiding the joint goes. It's very hard to spot it, so that's good. But the range, it's still fairly heavily ratcheted. So that's 2 notches, 3 notches back, and then 3 notches forward. It's going to be annoying to get her to stand, as it is with the heels, but then with the ratcheted ankle, that's not great. Toe hinge is in the right spot. Kudos, big kudos for them doing that. But it's so tiny and insignificant, just don't do it. Why bother? Save the effort. I'm speechless. Look at the little bit of plastic that the toe hinges and the little tiny bit of movement. That's nuts. Goodness. Toe hinges serves no purpose. You get a perfectly good ankle rocker, of course, if you want it, because you have a giant ball hinge for the ankle. So the articulation on this figure is decent enough that if the figure didn't look terrible, it'd be fine. But the figure does look terrible. Whatever. Articulation's gonna... I'll give it a 7. It's fine. Some parts are really good, some parts are silly. But ultimately, this is a terrible release. Every version of this character is better, I think. Every figure of this version of the character, I don't know what I said. I'm losing my mind. Thanks to the baby's 6 months old. She's actually really good for a baby, but I'm still losing my mind. I have no focus, and I'm not getting enough sleep. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is every figure of this version of the character, other than this one, it does a pretty good job. This one's pretty terrible. I would say don't buy it, but I'll give you a final rating of 2 out of 10 because of the grossly weird proportions and the comical accessory. But I'll bump it up to 3 for the butt. Just because somebody out there, whoever made this, was like, you know what, I'm doing it. This figure looks goofy already, I'm doing it. I'm putting the biggest ass I ever put on a figure ever. And they did it, and they got away with it somehow. This is like the Tomb Raider chest thing. When her chest was initially made extra big on accident, also on purpose. That's what happened here. So, bonus point, 3 points out of 10 for this figure, because he got away with putting the most crazy ass on a figure ever. And there it is. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you might want to. I have new videos almost every single day, and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.